one of those times where I always remember what my home pastor told me when I was a teenager, and I stood up to preach for the very first time, and I thought I was going to go an hour because I had 500 note cards, it seemed like, and I think it went like 4 minutes. I was apologizing to him as we were standing there to shake hands, and he says, "Vic, let me tell you something. If you do ultimately become a pastor, you'll never make people unhappy by letting them out early." I have a feeling you're going to get out early. Let's have a prayer. Gracious God, we give you thanks for this day that you've given to us to come together to worship you, Lord. No matter what else may be going on in the world, we know that when we gather in your presence, you are here to uplift us, to strengthen us, to guide us, to lead us in all that we do. Lord, touch us this day with your Spirit, touch us with your word, touch us with the music and the prayers that we utter, so that we might have a chance to hear again all that you would say to us. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. I'm going to share with you a little story about a truck driver and some motorcycle riders. It's an old one, so you may very well have heard it before. I may even have used it once a long time ago myself. There was a truck driver who was sitting in a crowded roadside diner ready to eat his lunch. Now, this wasn't just any diner. This was his absolute favorite diner to serve his absolute favorite meal. And this was the thing he always looked forward to when he was on this particular long-haul ride. He would go in and sit at his favorite seat. He ordered his meatloaf, his mashed potatoes, his gravy, and his green beans, and it just was a little bit of heaven for him in this break from the road. Well, he goes in, he orders his meal, he's sitting there, the food comes, and just as he's about to take the first bite, he hears probably about 20 motorcycles pull up outside the restaurant. He continues to eat. Now, most of the motorcycle gang comes in immediately, and they're kind of swaggering through the place, and wouldn't you know it, they sort of sit down just opposite of him, but there's not enough seats at the table. So they look over at him, look back at their buddies, and kind of grin. A couple of them walk over to the truck driver and said, "Look, buddy, we need this table. We need to move. We want to sit next to each other." The truck driver calmly says, "I haven't finished my meal yet." One of the motorcycle riders takes his dirty, greasy finger and he swipes it through the mashed potatoes, sticks it in his mouth and says, "Boy, this grub's pretty good." Another motorcycle guy, he takes the coffee that's left in the cup that the guy was drinking, pours it all over the food, sets the cup back down. And he says, "Look, buddy, you're finished now." Well, the truck driver stands, takes his napkin, wipes his mouth, walks to the cash register, pays for his meal, and silently walks out the door. Well, the motorcycle riders, they start to laugh and joke with one another. "Yeah, he ain't much of a man, is he? Look at how he just ran away." The waitress started laughing and said, "He's not much of a truck driver either. He just backed over all of your motorcycles outside. He was ridden." Well, let's be honest. Haven't we all had a moment like that? Hopefully not like the motorcycle guy, but like the truck driver who thought if I just had a big truck, I'd like to line everybody up. And just, we're human. It's natural. It's a part of life's experience. Whether it's driving down the highway and someone cuts you off and, you want to wave merrily at them. No, probably not. At least not, merrily or happily. Something happens at work. A co-worker, you're working on a project together, and either they haven't done what they're supposed to do and things fall apart, or maybe they really haven't done what they're supposed to do and they still try and take credit for it anyway. If you've got a student in school, sometimes those wonderful group projects that they do. I'm sure you've had the experience where your son or daughter has come home and says somebody just isn't pulling their weight, and we've had to all come together and do it for them. Becca had a class last semester where they started with a group of 5. By the time they got to the end of the class, it was a group of 2 of them. And she was like, "They better not show up the day of the presentation because we've done all this work." And it's natural when something happens. If you've ever been a parent, or a grandparent, or an aunt, or an uncle, or an older brother or sister, sometimes stuff happens in the household the kid does this or that, and despite our best intentions, the initial reaction is all that, and it's that feeling. It starts somewhere low in the gut, and you can just sort of almost feel it coming up, through your gut and out your mouth, and before you know it, you're screaming or yelling, you said something. Or heaven forbid that you and your spouse decide to have a conversation about something the night before you're supposed to preach on forgiveness. I gotta tell you, I'll probably get in trouble for this later, but God has an awful sense of humor. It just seems to never, it's like that old thing, don't pray for patience, because then you get stuck behind the long lines. It's just, I haven't felt really good the last couple of days. Last night was just one of those nights where I gotta be honest, I tripped my trigger. And it really tripped it. And then of course I had to go to that room to spend the last little time finalizing, well, what am I going to say about forgiveness? Because I'll be honest with you, God, I'm not feeling it at all. God says, well, that's all the more reason to talk about it. Forgiveness, it's tough. It's hard. Don't ever let anybody tell you it's easy to forgive. It's not. It's tough, hard work. But yet as people of faith, it's what we're called to do. Dr. Martin Luther King once said, love is the only force capable of turning an enemy into a friend. Love is the only force capable of turning an enemy into a friend. The reality is, retaliation does nothing. Revenge does nothing. Exchanging hurt for hurt does nothing. Well, it sort of does something. It keeps it alive and makes it worse. But it doesn't solve the feelings. It doesn't take care of the hurt and pain. It doesn't make it possible to move from that moment into something new and something different. Something that God would have us do. Now, some of you may remember back in 2006 that in an Amish community in PA, a person went into an Amish school and he shot and murdered and killed a number of children. And people were horrified over what had happened. And then something incredible occurred in the midst of that story. The parents of the slain children, who by any definition had every right to be angry, to be hurt, to be upset, some would even say justified in taking their anger out on the shooter's family, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's what happens oftentimes. When somebody does something wrong, if a young person does something, the first people they look at are the parents, the family, the grandparents. Oh, well, they must have done this or they must have done that. And there's a lot of venom and hate directed their way. The parents of the slain children went to the parents who had raised the shooter the next day. And they forgave his family. They showered them with love and mercy. Oh, the world laughed and mocked the Amish parents. How could they do that? This couldn't possibly be psychologically healthy for them. They were living in denial. Their forgiveness wasn't natural. And the critics are correct. Forgiveness isn't natural. If we're honest, even as people of faith, forgiveness often isn't our first thought. If we're lucky, it comes really quickly. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it takes a long time. I mean, probably most of us sometimes would wish we had a little red button there that we could push when somebody has said or done something to hurt us or to hurt someone we care for. That's more of a natural response than forgiveness. Forgiveness is always unnatural because grace is never deserved. Grace is something that we receive as a free gift given by God. And if we insist on getting what we deserve, we are going to be disappointed. Because what we deserve more often than not by our own actions and deeds is anything but forgiveness and grace. But the way of Christ, and therefore the way of his disciples, is to love and pray for our enemies. Now, we shouldn't be surprised that this is a difficult thing to do. After all, the person whom we follow died upon a cross. There's people who ridiculed and beat him and shamed him. And he let us in on a little secret along the way. He said people will use you, they'll abuse you, they'll mistreat you. They'll cut you off on the freeway, they'll cut you off at the knees, they'll lie, cheat, and steal. They will gossip and slander you. They will stab you in the back and get ahead and get their way. They'll take credit for the work that you do. They will say all kinds of evil against you. They'll hit you, they'll hurt you, they'll hate you in every way imaginable. Yet Jesus says, find a way to forgive. The hard part is even that if we are mature enough in our faith to take that first step and move in the direction of forgiveness, well, they probably won't even be thankful for that. Instead, they may laugh at you again and mock your weakness and continue to seek to try and take advantage and hurt you. But what do we do when that happens? Well, we get down on our knees and we pray. Like Jesus prayed as he hung upon the cross. Father, forgive them, they do not know what they do. As he taught the prayer that we come to know as the Lord's Prayer, he included the line, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Think about that. I am forgiven as I forgive. We are challenged to pray for the others. We're challenged to love them as God in Christ loves and prays for us. If we do that, our heart will be changed by God's amazing grace and allows us to offer and seek and give forgiveness because God has forgiven us. Now, sometimes forgiveness comes in the twinkling of an eye. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it takes time. It takes hard work. It takes going and going again to our knees and praying and saying, Father, help me to forgive. Give me a forgiving heart. Make it possible for this relationship, if it is all possible, to be restored. Find a way, oh God, to allow your grace to shine through me. May we pray. Holy God, there are many of us in this room and in this world today who have things in our hearts that we're holding on to, that are tough for us, that are just hard to let go of, but need not only your forgiveness of us, but then enabling us to forgive others. Lord, make it possible this day that whatever relationship may be hurt or damaged, whatever issue there might be that needs your touch of grace and forgiveness, that we might open our hearts to you so that we might live as not only people who have been forgiven, but people who are willing to forgive. Lord, help us forgive the little things and the big things and the monumentous things. Help us show the world that there is a better way. And that way is to love and forgiveness. Thanks be to God.